intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome back to the channel, Star Trek Fleet Command players, and today we're going to go through the Q&A that we just had with game design, live ops, etc., Star Trek Fleet Command's dev team, and talk about their answers. But I want to be very clear in the beginning of this video that, I'll be honest, I'm very upset, I'm very frustrated, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm doing this for clicks. And in fact, I'm going to put a timestamp right here so you know where that part of the video starts, because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to unload a little bit because I'm very, very frustrated. In fact, I'm going to say this. For a long time, people have said, oh, the game's dying, they're running them off, people are leaving en masse, and I've been like, no, that's not happening. Well, there are some real problems, and I'm going to address those later, but we're going to do them after the questions that I feel like give you substantive answers. So, we're going to start with that, but timestamp, skip to that if you want to. If you don't want that negativity, avoid it, and I'll understand. There's plenty of negativity in the world today. Ignore it if you don't want to deal with it. Let's roll. So many of our questions here with game design are going to be focusing on this arc here, the Transogen launch here in July. Why can't we do anything with the lower level canisters? Exactly similar to the silent hostile loot. The Suliban loot and refinery is relative to your grade. The intention here is you should be hitting hostiles of your grade so that you can get enough loot for the refinery in a reasonable number of kills, rather than spending hours punching down and having to farm too far away. Here we are striving for balance, providing challenge versus letting you spend hours doing mindless grinding, which is way less satisfying. There's definitely some improvements we are looking at here, especially around the grade transitions to make things a little easier, as a jump can be tough if you're behind on ship and research. Now, as far as a response, this is a lot of what Rev's been saying for many, many months. Hey, this is the design, slow down, which is the opposite of what they're saying, which is ops up, slow down, play slower, because this is how they're designing content. If you're level 60, you should be grinding 60s. If you're 40, you should be grinding 40s. And every time they release new content, it is going to be more difficult. Now, the main issue I really don't feel like was addressed here, which is the fact that if you ground out 1 million 4-star canisters and then you went to 51, all 4 million of those canisters are now worthless. They sit in your inventory, gathering up dust. You know, a big complaint that players have had for a long time are so many needless and useless currencies. And even game design and their dev team and their general managers acknowledge that having all these items in each account constantly pinging does contribute to lag. Now, they've said it's a minor contribution and not a major thing, but I mean, let's just keep adding to it, I guess. But there you go. If this has not been a warning for you yet, slow your gameplay down. And look, I'll be honest, Scopely's method works. There are more people in G6 now than at the same time of G5 before G6 rolled out. So, hey, what does Rev know? Anyway, there's your answer. Next question. Why, if you are pushing so many people into so few systems, are there so few hostiles in a system? In the Saris invasion, it adds a lot of hostiles in the system, allowing the higher number of people to grind. When it comes to the really high number needed for the IMS, this is causing me to not want to grind because I'm having to fight to get the hostiles. This is their response. There's some good news for you Transogen miners as well as you hostile hunters. We've definitely heard your feedback on this, and we're launching new systems for each grade of Transogen space starting tomorrow. That is going to be Wednesday, July 16th, for those who are not aware of when this is happening. For Flashpoint specifically, this means players won't be crammed into a single system, which was a big part of the spawning frustration. The added systems will also improve the pacing and balance of invading entity spawns, those Hurok Vanguards and Honor Guards, across both rare and epic tiers. Thanks for sticking with us while we smooth this out. I do appreciate that answer. I do appreciate the addition, although I will argue this should have been known beforehand. You should have known that was going to happen. This isn't the first time. But next. When is the Gold Rush event for the mission Flashpoint 1 Gold Rush Chapter 1 taking place? Now, this was just simply a naming issue, and they ended up clarifying. If you've been to the stream, we've answered this one as well. But when is the Gold Rush happening? Well, the Gold Rush event mentioned in the title was the result of a localization issue. It's actually referring to Stage 4 of the Flashpoint event series. We've since updated the mission text to better reflect the event timing, including more accurate dates to help with clarity. Apologies for the confusion. This has been addressed for week 2 of this cycle. So that just means that you're trying to get your server to complete the IMS. That's it. Why is there so much new content that low to mid-level G6 players struggle with? Is all of the G6 content created with only 66 through 70 G6 players in mind? So again, we're into like real trickiness here because again, they've been wanting people to go into G6, but at the same time, a lot of the people who are going into G6, and I'm not blaming the players, I'm blaming the push. are weaker for their level, right? They've got under-tiered epics. They don't have great crews. I mean, they're skipping the G6 uncommons, and I get it. If you're trying to be efficient, it makes sense. But if you're trying to do the content, you end up hurting. But here's what game design had to say. Some of this is the spectrum of power of a newly ascended G6 player can vary wildly. And fresh graduates may have skipped some core progression, like getting their G5 epic in a good spot first, or lacking some good officers. Hope you all got your Voyager below deck abilities at a good rank, for example. For everyone else, this can be on us doing better at trying to find the sweet spot between everyone, where the hostile is not too hard, not too easy, and where you sit on the spectrum. The Hurok have definitely not missed leg day, but the jump is a little too high between each level of hostile, something we are monitoring and will adjust through different means. In the end, we hope to provide that balance that is way lower than impossible, but not too easy that is a mindless grind. Here's my contributions of this. The main account that y'all see behind me, level 60, while I do play on others, this is the main one you see. This is one of the best level 60 accounts in the game. 3 maxed out G5 epics. Most artifacts maxed out and unlocked, including all the free-to-play strong ones like the Glavin. Right now, I do not have some things yet like Quantum Slipstream, etc., but undoubtedly this account is one of the strongest in the game. It struggles versus the new entities. The strongest available in the game. Yeah, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, Scopely. I'm not sitting here believing I'm the best player. But let's just say you've got 2,000 people in a top 100 account, like this one, can't do the content. Maybe the problem isn't the Maybe we should stop making things so difficult so that we can then play you should move to G6 and go get you a new ship. That'll fix it. No, it won't. Because all you've done is managed to create thousands and thousands of frustrated players who have now moved up to upper G5 or lower G6 and can't do anything. And now we're blaming the players for not have gotten Voyager officers and ships. Anyway, if you can't tell, Rev is frustrated this episode. And to be warned, this was the last of the constructive questions. And I also want to make one point very clear. None of this blames the Scopely employee. I have no indignations, frustrations specifically with any one of them, nor is any of the frustrations you're about to hear targeted at them. Do not proceed if you've received your answers and don't want anything else. Now I'm about to get ginger. All right, so here we go. This is a big one. And honestly, shout out to the community manager who fielded this question, because I'll be honest, if I worked for them, I probably wouldn't have, because I just know this is going to lead to things. But here's context of this. Not only was this question asked, and to be honest, I think it should be asked. At the end of the day, I'm a player. I don't work for Scopely. I play this game like the rest of you. I spend hours grinding like the rest of you. I spend hours fighting players. Shout out to DMFL and all those players. Look forward to engaging with y'all in the near future on Server 20. But where are the quality of life improvements promised to us? You haven't listened to the players at all. We want less grinding and screen time, not more. Where are our paychecks, as this game has turned into a full-time job? Again, just the context of that, I'm surprised it made it through. But context of all this, that question got asked. I want to be very clear. During this is a 1-hour Q&A that they allow us to be a part of. And I am very grateful that it exists. Very grateful. Scopely, please don't take any of this of what I'm about to say as I'm not appreciative, because the last thing I need is y'all pulling a meme and being like, oh, we can't do this anymore because of the toxic players. Right. Okay. So this was it was 37 minutes into the Q&A. 3 questions had been answered so far. What I just gave you is out of order, by the way. And then they had time to crack jokes, and it took 15 minutes to get to this. Timestamps for those curious. 15 minutes to get to this answer, which was, we definitely are acutely conscious of the time needed each day to run through all the daily tasks due to the loops, due to the events, and for many of you, it could be overwhelming and too much. Acutely conscious. Wow. The theme and strategy following on from the last few arcs and going forward is still to bring the overall time down through a combination of new loops being time sensitive, additional loop archives, and more rewards that save time overall. The last part is a theme for our arc where we hopefully you have seen it being a super efficient source of the coolest artifacts and some neat exo comps. That theme of time saving continues to the next release, and something we are always looking for is ways for you to bring that time down. It can definitely be a little rough when starting out if you don't have the ships, research, or officers, and the experience from there to when you have all the things is quite large. It's something we continuously aim to improve for sure. Another, by the way, gaslighting the players. You ain't got the ships, officers, and stuff. Basically, you ain't bought nothing. Get to getting your credit card out, damn it, because you don't have the shit you need.
We've got to have money.
Did I get it right? Did I get it right? You tell people for months, you literally have a subtext popping up on the screen every time I transition. Level up your ops, you gotta go up. Also, we can get to G7 and spend more money. Or you can make content that's doable and fun. 5 loops, 3 things to mine, 2 hostiles to grind, and you're sitting here pretending like you're doing us a favor. What do you mean you're acutely conscious? Seems like you're acutely oblivious. This whole Q&A was disoriented, unprofessional, and shockingly tone deaf. 15 minutes to get this answer. 15 minutes while jokes are being cracked in between. Oh, it's a great time. We're having a blast. Here's a news flash for you, Scopely. In the past 3 months, you've lost 10,000 active accounts. 10,000. Look at the numbers. Clearly what you're doing is not working. Maybe you should pay more attention to your players. 10,000. Remember all those times where Rev says, no, nobody's leaving en masse? Because it wasn't true then. Look at that. Hard to deny that. That's May to July. And it's not even like May 1st to July 1st. It's the end of May to now. 10,000. And I get it. Archiving accounts happens. Normal procedure, blah, blah, blah. But this is the problem. You clearly are not acutely conscious. And to be very clear, this is not directed at any individual Scopely employee. You are doing your jobs. I get it. I'm not mad at you. I am speaking to the grander thought process, the grander paradigm of how things operate, the SOPs in which you push things. We get it. You want everybody to drop $10,000 on the USS Vengeance, and thank God for the people who do, because they keep this game free to play. But when people say you are stifling it, you are smudging everybody just into the ground. You're not listening. Look at the numbers. I know you can see them. 10,000. And that's what I have access to, a third-party tool, both literally and figuratively, metaphorically, whatever. You've definitely got better stuff up there. This is ridiculous. Stop making loops that have mechanics we've already established we hate, like the silent thing where we can never trade up the canisters that we had. Stop making me mine 3 different things to then go get. I don't care how great they are. You made me go mine 3 different things. Make me mine one thing and then have 3 different turn-ins that are escalating cost. 1 loop, 3 cost, not 3 loops and 3 calls. It's not that hard. Can you clarify the recent direction toward more grind-intensive arcs, especially in the light of previous goals to reduce overall screen time and improve gameplay balance? Answer: we're always working to find the right balance between keeping the game challenging and making sure it stays fun and rewarding. With so many different player levels and playstyles, that's not always easy. With Flashpoint, the goal wasn't to create a repetitive grind. It was to push players to think more strategically, using different crews, loadouts, forbidden tech, and more. We wanted it to feel like you overcame something tough and earned the win. That said, we've heard your feedback loud and clear, especially around how intense and time-consuming some of the events have felt. Specifically, we know Stage 2 and 3 of the Hurok Invasion IMS events were too tough. We're rebalancing those for the next run. We also found an issue where the Epic Hurok Honor Guards weren't spawning properly due to limits in the system. For the next round, we're adding more systems and creating dedicated spawn zones to make sure everything works as it should. We're taking all your feedback seriously, and we'll keep tweaking things to hit that sweet spot of challenge, fun, and fairness. I just spent 6 minutes giving my true emotional feelings. Hopefully nobody judges me too harshly on that. But all of this was predictable. It's not, guys, gals, Scopely, Star Trek Fleet Command. You've been here almost 7 years. You know when there's going to be people in the systems. You know when there's going to be not enough armadas. You know. You cannot be that obtuse. I refuse to believe y'all are incapable of understanding what has already happened in the past and how that translates to future things. I refuse to believe it. So without being insulting, you answer that question, but don't do it publicly. Answer to yourself. At what point does the wake-up call click before it's too late? Because at the end of the day, why am I so emotional and passionate? I love this game. I love this community. I love Star Trek. And it's the only Star Trek game like this that exists. No offense, Star Trek Online. Shout out to you. I still think you're amazing as well. But there is nothing like this except STFC. It's what we got. And I honest to God feel, and I fear, that we're getting dangerously close to maintenance mode because of this. Because you're not acutely conscious. Maybe you need some ginger on the YouTube to scream at you for you to get there. I don't know. I don't work for you. I can't pretend to have all the answers, but I can tell you what's going on right now is not working. And I can only tell you that this is a passionate plea for somebody who loves your game to please stop, listen, and fix it. Some of these are so predictable, and it's been that way for years. I've been with you in meetings for years where every content creator, besides just me, whether it's DJ, freaking Jess, one of the moderators, saying, hey, this is probably going to be a bad idea, and yet it rolls out anyway, and then we spend the next 2 weeks fixing it, and then yay, we fixed it, only to do the same process again. At what point does your SOP not include failure? At what point? So there's my passionate plea for the Q&A today. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you, and I'll still be here tomorrow playing this game. But I hope that there are more tomorrows than it currently looks like there's going to be. That's all I've got for you. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm done for the day. I'm not doing anything else today. I'm done.
An even better outro than the intro for the Empire and glory to your house.